Hello friends, it's Kayla. It's been exactly 2 months since I did my last video installment in this series of finding like 30 to 40 newly released books that I added to my Goodreads and then reading you the synopsis, reading myself the synopsis, deciding if we want to read them. Last time we did this, there was a whole bunch of books that just had the synopsis that had been revealed, but not the cover. So this time we'll skip the synopsis. You can go back to the last video if you want. I'll link it down below and find out what these are about. But let's just talk about the cover. The first one that I have is the latest Rachel Harrison. It's called So Thirsty. It got a cover. I love it. It's like obviously a vampire book. I think it gives the right vibes. I thought maybe I was done with Rachel Harrison because I've only given her 1 4-star, but this one's definitely pulled me in. It's coming out in the fall. Another book we talked about last time, Throne of the Fallen, the sequel, Throne of Secrets, talked about the synopsis, talked about the title. Now there is a cover. It has dragons. I will be reading it. I'll actually be talking about this cover again in an upcoming video. If you know, you know. Hopefully I'll get to post that soon. I like it, but I also am not like a key girl. I don't know what's with me, but book covers with keys, I don't usually love them. And this just combination, I know so many people are into it. It's not my favorite, so I do prefer the second one, and I would love to know which one you like better. Then we talked about Devils Kill Devils, the second book by Johnny Compton. This one got a cover. I don't know if I love it, but I don't dislike it. So there's that. Also, I wanted to mention Monstrilio got a new cover from Dead Ink Press. I obviously adore this one. Like, Monstrilio is beautiful, what a little creature. But there's actually a picture in here that the author doodled of Monstrilio, and this cover is more in line with that. And so I kind of love it. I kind of want it, but I know I don't need it. Let me know which one you'll be buying though if you still don't own it. I highly recommend. Then we can get into new things I haven't talked about yet. Delilah S. Dawson has a new book coming out. It's called It Will Only Hurt for a Moment. The cover is interesting. I like it. It came out with everything all at once, so we can learn what it is. An atmospheric feminist horror novel about a woman trying to reinvent herself at a secluded artist's colony. Okay, I need it. Only to be drawn into its dark past. We have Sarah. She's on the run, leaving behind her ex-boyfriend and her terrible mother. Then she finds the body of a young woman while digging a hole for a kiln. Her fellow artists begin acting. The fiber artist seems to be knitting an endless scarf. The violinist sounds like he's battling the devil himself every evening. The calligrapher scrawls strange words and grins at everyone with ink-stained teeth. Not to mention the strange dreams Sarah has been having night after night. When she discovers glass shards in her clay, Sarah begins to wonder if someone is out to get her, or if she's losing her grip out here in the wilds. I need it! Then we have a new short story collection from Mariana Enriquez, translated by Megan McDowell. I love the cover just because it's so bright and joy-filled, but also ominous with that hot pink vibe. And is that like flowers for a face? Yeah, that's something that I'm into. It calls itself a diabolical collection of stories. So if you have read the other short story collections from this author, which I haven't, but they're on my TBR shelf, let me know if you think this one will be good. Because R.F. Kuang is BookTube's darling, I'm sure you've all heard of this latest one. Catabasis? That could be wrong. Catabasis, noun, ancient Greek, the story of a hero's descent to the underworld. Sounds ambitious. 2 academic rivals from Cambridge must travel to hell to rescue the soul of their advisor. Getting there. The synopsis was too exciting. All of my books jumped off the nightstand with glee. Getting there was easy. Surviving it and each other is another thing entirely. Say it with me. I need it. I don't know if there's more information out there on the internet. I'm sure you've all found it if there is, but that's all I see on the Goodreads page. Ooh, then switching gears, the third book in this little, is it a trilogy? Right now it's a trilogy by N.G. Peltier. The third one got a cover. It's called The Dating Countdown. It comes out this fall and it's sapphic. The first one was Sweet Hand. The second was Don't Go Breaking My Heart. This one is gonna star like friends, family of the people in these. And I think it's like friends to enemies to lovers, because these two were friends when they were kids. Then they like fell apart when they were teenagers. And now one of them is in love with the other. The other doesn't know she's ready for a relationship, so they decide to go on 10 friend dates. But they keep getting reset and keep breaking their pact. I can't remember if I talked about this in the last one, but Grady Hendrix has an upcoming book called Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. And I guess it takes place in this home for like young mothers. It says set in Florida in 1970, the novel follows a group of young women in a home for unwed mothers who find a guide to witchcraft. There was a longer synopsis that I saw online, and it's been taken down on all of the publisher websites. And I also now can't find the blog where I originally read it, so it must have been information that wasn't supposed to come out yet. Good for me, I guess. I don't remember anything about it, but I will be reading it, of course. Then, after like 10 long years and me desperately waiting and even predicting the cover and going to author interviews waiting for this book to be announced, another Jandy Nelson is on the way. It's called When the World Tips Over. It was originally called Fall Boys and Dizzy in Paradise. This is the cover. I think it's sweet. It is a young adult book. That's what she writes. And it's about like a couple of siblings who all get obsessed with this girl in their life, a friend, a potential love interest. She sounds like kind of a manic pixie dream girl, but I'm sure that's not what it is. It comes out in fall, and obviously because I have given Jandy Nelson 5 stars twice because she's only ever written 2 things and I loved them, I need it. Oh, also another cover for Akwaeke Emezi's Little Rot was revealed, the UK one. Like, I love this one. The colors, it's just so weird. Like, it doesn't really make sense. It's really artsy, and I thought I liked it, but I think I love this one, and I do think I need it. Let me know, again, which one you prefer. I always am desperate to know, like, do I have the popular opinion? Do I have the unpopular opinion? Let me find a cover I hate, though, actually, so we can really get a gauge on it. Oh, here it is. The Sorcery and Small Magics by Mega Ducey? Someone might let me know. Let's read what it's about, though, because it has to have a really good synopsis to make up for the colors, because I hate them. Desperate to undo the course binding them together, an impulsive sorcerer and his curmudgeonly rival venture deep into a magical forest in search of a counterspell, only to discover that magic might not be the only thing pulling them together. I think the only reason I added this one was because of the title. I was like, it's something about magic. It sounds kind of cozy. I probably will like it. The main character's name is Leo Vander Lovage. He can summon butterflies with a song or turn someone's hair pink by snapping his fingers. Such minor charms don't earn him much admiration from other sorcerers. Then he gets mixed up in a forbidden spell, and it binds Leo to his longtime nemesis, Sebastian Grimm. I may read it. I'll think about it. Then Air by Sabaa Tahir, which, oh my god, on the opposite end of things, the cover, I love it. I don't know about you, I love it. I didn't need to know what it was about. It says, an orphan and outcast, a prince and a killer who will bring an empire to its knees. Growing up in the Kagari slums, Aze has seen her fair share of suffering. An old tragedy fuels her need for vengeance, but it is the love of her people that propels her, until one hot-headed mistake lands her in an inescapable prison where the embers of her wrath ignite. Then we're also following somebody who committed a crime, someone who's a prince. It's about the lives of 3 people as they grapple with the burdens of power, the treachery of love, and the devastating consequences of unchecked greed. I think it sounds good. What do you think? Here's another cover I love. It's called Haunt Sweet Home by Sarah Pinsker. I like it a lot. It's a horror novella. It says, on the set of a kitschy reality TV show, staged scares transform into unnerving reality in this spooky ghost story. Don't always love TV-focused books, but I'm going to read it. Savage Blooms by S.T. Gibson. Doesn't have any information, but Instagram says it's the start of a new Celtic-inspired fantasy romance trilogy. Think The Cruel Prince meets Wuthering Heights. So there's that. Next up, The City in Glass by Nevo. This is a new standalone novel or novella. Novel. It says a devil. Nope. It doesn't. It says a demon, an angel, a city that burns at the heart of the world. There's a demon, immortal, powerful. She has mothered, married, and maddened this city and its people for generations, and built it into a place of joy and desire, revelry, and riot. And then the angels come and the city falls. She's left with nothing but memories and a book containing the names of those she has lost. And an angel, now bound by her mad grief-stricken curse to haunt the city he burned. She mourns her dead and rages against the angel she longs to destroy. Okay, I don't need to read on. I think that sounds interesting. Next up, we have a new novel by Han Kang, author of The Vegetarian, called We Do Not Part. And it says it's a story of friendship, taking us on a journey from South Korea into its painful history. If you're interested, you can find that on my Goodreads. Feeding the Monster is another one that's interesting. Why Horror Has a Hold on Us by Anna Bogustakaya. I read something by this author recently, and I'll be picking this one up. The City and Its Uncertain Walls by Haruki Murakami recently got announced. This is set in a town his readers will remember, a place where a dream reader reviews dreams and where our shadows become untethered from ourselves. This author has such a backlist that I haven't read, so I probably won't pick this one up before anything else, but I do have it on my radar, and you can add it if you're interested. One I'm very much anticipating, the latest Julia Armfield, is called Private Rights. I haven't read the synopsis yet, so my excitement will become more so or will lessen in 5 seconds. It's been raining for a long time now, for so long that the lands have reshaped themselves and cities have retreated to higher stories. Old places have been lost. Arcane rituals and religions have crept back into practice. Sisters Isla, Irene, and Agnes have not spoken in some time when their estranged father dies. Okay, dead father bringing all the sisters together. That really is something I read a lot, apparently. A famous architect revered for making the New World navigable, he had long cut himself off from public life. They find themselves uncertain of how to grieve his passing when everything around them seems to be ending anyway. As the sisters come together to clear the grand glass house that is the pinnacle of his legacy, they begin to sense that the magnetic influence of their father lives on through it. Soon it becomes clear that others have also taken an interest in the both estates and in them, and that perhaps their inheritance may not be theirs alone. That's coming out not until December. I need it. The next one comes out, oh my god, just next week, but I just heard about it. The eyeballs of it all. It's called Eat the Ones You Love by Sarah Maria Griffin, and I just need to know what it's about, so let's find out. A twisted, tangled story about workplace love affairs and plants with a taste for human flesh. There's a certain movie that this is definitely giving me the vibes of. During a grocery store run to her favorite shopping center, Shell Pine sees a help needed sign in a flower shop window. She's just left her fiance, lost her job, and moved into her parents' house. She has to make a change and bring some good into her life, so she goes in and takes a chance. Shell realizes right away the flowers are just the good thing she's been looking for, as is Neve, the beautiful florist who wrote the sign asking for help. An orchid growing out of sight in the heart of the mall is watching them closely. His name is Baby, and the beautiful florist belongs to him. He's young, he's hungry, and he'll do just about anything to make sure he can keep growing big and strong. Nothing he eats, nobody he eats, can satisfy him, except the thing he most desires, Neve. He adores her and wants to consume her and will stop at nothing to eat the one he loves. Obviously I need to read that. It's from Tor. How did I not know about this one earlier? Another interesting cover is Evil in Me by Brahm. You may know Brahm from these weird shaped, almost square books like Slewfoot. The cover is quite rock and roll psychedelic, and let's find out if I want to read it. Evil in Me is a story of possession, damnation, and rock and roll, where one woman must get the world singing in order to save her soul. Okay, I've read a couple books that kind of align with this vibe recently. Aspiring musician, Ruby Tucker has had just enough of her small rural life and dysfunctional family, but a falling out with her best friend and bandmate has killed her dreams of escaping and making it big in the Atlanta punk scene. While helping her eccentric neighbor organize his religious relics, an ancient ring clamps down on her finger, possessing her with the spirit of a bloodthirsty demon. There's no getting it off unless hundreds of people chant a spell to set Ruby free. Okay, so she has to gain fame and notoriety in order to get the world to pay attention to her so she can release herself from the curse. Okay, that's incredible. I will be reading that. Another one from Tor. I feel like most all of these are from Tor because they just appeal to my weird interests. This one's from Titan though, and the title did it for me. The Bog Wife. Has anything sounded more like something I would enjoy? In this atmospheric Appalachian Gothic, the Haddisley siblings of West Virginia must unearth long-buried secrets to carve out a future when the supernatural bargain entwining their fate with their ancestral land is suddenly ruptured. Forever in time, this family has tended to a cranberry bog. In exchange, the bog sustains them. But when the bog fails or refuses to honor a bargain, the group of siblings, grieving their mother, face an unknown future. So all these siblings are coming back together, taking care of this dilapidated home, grieving together, finding out the truth about what happened to their dead mother. It's a gothic book coming out in the fall. Ooh, Rumaan Alam announced an upcoming book called Entitlement. I like the cover. Don't know what it's about. Hope it's intriguing. A novel of money and morality. Brooke wants. She isn't in need, but there are things she wants. A sense of purpose, for instance. She wants to make a difference in the world, to impress her mother along the way, to spend time with friends and secure her independence. Her job, assisting a billionaire in his quest to give away a vast fortune, could help her achieve many of these goals. It may inspire new desires, as proximity to wealth turns out to be nothing less than transformative. What is money really but a kind of belief? Taught, unsettling, and alive to the seductive distortions of money, Entitlement is a riveting tale for our new gilded age. Blah, 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 blah. Will you be reading it? I guess probably no for a lot of you, because this is not a popular book, but perhaps this could be a win for everybody. I need it. Next up, another Vaishnavi Patel has been announced. It's called The Incarnations of Rebellion. There's no cover yet. It has a very brief little blurb. Set in an alternate historical version of India that was never liberated from the British, following a young woman who forms a band of unlikely heroes to spark a revolution in her country. It says it's an epic story of empowerment, friendship, self-determination, and the true meaning of freedom. That didn't give a lot of information, but if you already like the author, you're probably going to add it to your list. Another kind of vague one, The Second Death of Locke by V.L. Bovalino. Who is that the same author? Yeah, I read something by Tori Bovalino. So I wonder if this is because they are writing adults and so it's a different name. Anyway, it says it's just described as Gideon the Ninth meets Shadow and Bone by way of the Six Deaths of the Saint. All things that I've read and enjoyed. All things that I've given 4 stars. A gothic and devastatingly romantic story about the unbreakable bond between a mage and their paladin. Okay, that definitely has intrigued me. Next, I'm sure a lot of you will be stoked about the latest Sally Rooney. You probably already know all about it, but just in case you don't, it's called Intermezzo. I don't know if I'll be reading it. It's about true grieving brothers and the people they love. Their father recently died and they're both getting into new relationships, I think, and it's just all about relationships. You can all read it first and tell me if it's good. This title definitely did it for me next. The cover is fine, so I'm recognizing it's more of a historical fantasy than the cozy fantasy that I was hoping. When it was called The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door, I was thinking Emily Wilde. But no. Here's what it says. 1921, years after a rogue fairy broke free on the battlefields of World War I, killing hundreds and threatening to expose the magical world, the study of fairy magic is forbidden and the doors to fairy country are sealed. But for those who survived, the wounds cannot be fixed by bandages and bed rest. A magical curse requires a magical solution. Clover is determined to find a way to save her brother Matthew, one of the few survivors of the fairy attack. At Camford, English's premier magical academy, she's nobody. Just a scholarship witch with no lineage and no connection. But when she catches the eye of a golden boy and his friends, doors that have been previously closed to her are flung open, and she finds herself enmeshed in the glittering and seductive world of the country's magical aristocrats. I think I'm gonna read it. I don't know if I need it, maybe. Moving along, Olivia Waite has one called Murder by Memory. And I want it to have a beautiful cover because I think I want to read it. Welcome to HMS Fairweather, Her Majesty's most luxurious interstellar passenger ship. Room and board are included, new bodies are graciously provided upon request, and should you desire a rest between lifetimes, your mind shall be most carefully preserved in glass in the library, shielded from every danger. So we're talking sci-fi. We have a character named Dorothy, who just woke up in a body that isn't hers, just as someone else is found murdered. As one of the ship's detectives, Dorothy usually delights in unraveling the schemes on board the Fairweather, but when she finds that someone is not only killing bodies but purposely deleting minds from the library, she realizes something even more sinister is afoot. A detective sci-fi. I don't know if I've read too many of those. I've been reading a lot of horror sci-fi, which isn't my favorite, so maybe mystery sci-fi is where I need to be. This one is not on Goodreads yet, but the title alone makes me need to read it. It's called How to Lose a Goblin in 10 Days by Jessie Silva. And it says it's a comfort read fantasy romance between a halfling and a goblin. Imagine a classic opposites attract rom-com taking place in those cozy scenes in the Hobbit Shire from Lord of the Rings. Expect magical forests, interfering wizards, lots of home cooking, and maybe even a kiss at the harvest dance. Like, we all need to read that. The cozy fantasy girlies. And then I have The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley. This is coming from Orbit. It says this author is a fan fiction sensation already. So maybe like this is one of those cases that you already know who this person is, or like if this book was already published as fan fiction, because it happened to me in a recent video and everyone was like, do you not know that that's like fan fiction? I don't know anything. Anyway, it says in this romantasy, expect to see STEM romance and slow burn enemies to lovers. Perfect for fans of Ali Hazelwood and Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. We have Orsric, member of the Fyron Order of Assassins. He finds himself in dire need of an expert healer. As fate would have it, the very healer is Orien Ferim, a member of an enemy order, the Halen. Orien is desperate for funding to heal the sick, so desperate that when Osric bribes her to help him, she accepts even if she loathes him. A forced collaboration ensues. The brilliant woman in STEM is coerced into working with the PhD in murders, much to her disgust. As they work together to heal his illness and investigate the mysterious reoccurrence of a deadly pox, they find themselves unable to deny their attraction, which only fuels the heat between them. And that's all I have for you today. If we have similar tastes with our horror or our fantasy, hopefully there was something in there that sounded intriguing. Otherwise, just thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in a couple days with a new vlog. Bye!